Hey everybody, this is Spencer from Megacosm Games. Today I want to give you a quick tutorial of how to play one of our current projects, which is Void Breakers, a hero-based tactical arena card game. This is the deck we're going to be working with. This is the Bio deck. It's one of the 4 starter decks we have. If you look over here on the side, we have the Stasis deck, which is very defensive. We have the Kinetic deck, which has a lot of movement. It's very fast moving. And we have the Tech deck, which is very controlling and it delivers a lot of ranged damage and general trickery. And then we have the Bio deck here. And the reason why I'm going to show you this one is because it's probably the easiest to handle and it has a lot of power to it and a lot of survivability. So a lot of people like it. All right, if you look down here, we have the 3 fighters, and every starter deck, actually every deck I should say, is constructed around these 3 fighters. And if you look on them, they'll have their text, which is called their fighter talents. And these could be passive or active abilities. Like he has both a passive and active ability. So he'll come with his own separate deck of minions over here. And as it says on here, once per turn, you can put a minion in his zone. So he can populate the area and use them how you will. If you look down up here, you have his attack power. The top of the fraction is the base. That's what he'll always start off as. And this is the maximum. So through different effects where you can increase attack power, you can go above the maximum there. And then you have the health points, the hit points down here. And lastly, you have their actions up at the top, which means that at the start of the turn, they gain those actions. That is an attack action, that's a move action. So attack action, you use it to attack someone in the same zone. And move action, use it to move into an adjacent zone. Not going to go too much into the other fighters' talents, but if you look down here at these cards, these are their health cards, which every deck will come with, and it's a good way to keep track of their hit points. So as they take damage, you move the tracker down, and when it goes to 0, you can flip it over. It will have another side, and you can put it on top of them in the arena to signify that they're dead. And the reason why they stay in the arena is because there will be certain cards that let you interact with their dead bodies in different ways. And okay, so when you start the game, you're gonna start by picking your hands. So I have these 6 cards here. You're gonna pick your hand of cards, any cards you want. And this is important because you want to build a strategy going into the game. You have your team, you built them to do a certain thing, and then you want to put the cards in your hand to help them accomplish that certain thing. And as you're playing the game, there's going to be road bumps that come up. There's going to be the other player is going to have ways to interrupt your plan of how to defeat them, which is a big part of the game. There's a lot of gotcha mechanics in the game. If you look at this card here, each card has modifiers, as you see right here, but the outburst modifier is something you can play this card on your opponent's turn, and you can't do that normally. And there's also other modifiers that let you interact directly with like an attack or something like this, where this is more of something that's happening like around the actions that they're doing. So you're interrupting them while the other one is adding on to what they're doing. And then you have modifiers like this perk right here, where they grow an extra set of limbs. So you attach this perk to your fighter and they gain another action when you gain actions per turn. All right, let's come over here and talk about the arsenal for a second. Notice how I said arsenal instead of deck, because when you construct a deck of cards, you're going to call it an arsenal, and all other cards are going to refer to it as your arsenal, because this is basically all the weapons and all the extra perks and support that your fighters need is going to be in here. This is their arsenal, because it's constructed around them anyways. And if you look up here at this card is here because this is your void pile. So the void pile acts as your discard pile, but the reason why it's called the void is because anything can be voided. And like you can void actions, you can void things other than just cards. But when a card is used or voided, it goes into the void pile. And if we look at, this is a small deck again, like I mentioned earlier, with Eb's little minions in there, his little Eb cells. So you can put that anywhere. Typically you want to put it in a nice state like this, but when you have the secondary arsenal, you can kind of put it to the side anywhere so you know that it's not the void itself. All right, let's talk about the arena for a second. So you notice that they have these zones blocked off here, and there's a lot more zones coming up here. The arena itself is 8 zones. They're all half hexes, and each zone has a maximum capacity of 4. So that means that 4 cards in general. So whether it's a minion or a fighter or there's structures and there's other things that can take up capacity, it can only have up to 4. And there are other mechanics and effects that allow you to get around that, because there's going to be gameplay styles like in the tech deck over here where they're going to want to fill up zones and kind of block you out of theirs so they can shoot you with range damage. And you're going to have different ways to get around that, where you're going to be able to leap into the zone, or you can teleport into the zone, or maybe you could pull somebody out of a zone into your zone and you hit them with a nice combo. All right, let's move on to the general turn, like how turns split. You see this dice up here, how it has the 1 we set up here. So this is going to be keeping track of rounds. So you may have noticed earlier when I had this hand here that they had these R numbers at the top, R6, R5, R3, R2. These are the round numbers that these cards unlock and become playable. And it's kind of a resource system, but it's mostly to keep the powerful cards until later in the game to avoid huge creep and huge plays early on, so you can actually have a nice flow. So when both players finish their turn, it will start on round 1. When both players finish their turn, the round number will increase. And then when both players have a turn again, the round number increase. And as the number increases, more and more cards unlock. See, I have on round 3, so now this R3 card will be playable, when normally it's not playable earlier. And on your turn, you're gonna have 4 phases. You're gonna have your alpha phase, which is draw a card, add it to your hand. You're gonna have your ready phase, which is basically it's your front upkeep. So anything that would say ready phase on here, on your fighters, or anything in the arena that has some sort of update on the ready phase will update. Like with him particularly, he heals, and there's other fighters that gain like their own currency on the ready phase. And then plus all fighters will gain their actions. All fighters and minions, I should say, minions also gain actions on the ready phase. Then you have the action phase, which is when you can do all your stuff. You can use your actions, you can play cards, you can do pretty much everything on the action phase. And then when you're done with that, you move on to the Omega phase, which is your cleanup. That's any negative effects on your cards are gone, regardless if you put them on there or if the enemy put them on there. Any negative conditions will be removed. Any remaining actions are removed as well. So it's just a big cleanup, and then it moves on to the opponent's alpha phase. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Thank you for tuning into the video. I hope this helped enlighten you a bit more of how the game works. Just let us know if you have any questions and stuff, comments, like, subscribe. Definitely share it, because we're having really good feedback. We want more eyes and more people to enjoy this game. All right, that's going to do it for me. Thank you.